And you and Tommy should be going. You're way past your shift.
Dr. Cohen exits to the medical area.
So Tommy, how are your feet?
A bit sore. We do a lot of standing on this job.
I mean, they're cold, aren't they? Look, I'm tired of waiting for you to be committed to this relationship.
What are you talking about? I have been totally loyal to you since the day we started dating. Don't you think I treat you well?
You treat me like a queen, but you don't care about our future.
Why would you say that?
Because all we ever do is have fun.
Isn't that a problem?
Fun is great for today and tomorrow. Well, we're both working here, but what about after I graduate? I mean, you're still going to want to work here.
I know. I like it here.
Yeah, but I'm going to want more. A nursing position with real challenges, and that's not something you support because you like it safe and easy with no responsibility.
Well, I like it that way, but I know you want something more, and I support that.
Yeah, well, what if I get a job that requires me to relocate? I mean, you don't want to leave this job.
Why not? I love it here, but I can do this any place.
And if we had a kid, I mean, that's a lot of responsibility, and I know you don't want any of that.
Well, not my job, no, but you know I love kids, and I'd do anything in the world for one of my own, especially if it was with you.
So what are you asking me?
I'm not asking you anything. You're the one doing all the questioning. Is there someplace you're going with it? I'd really like to get home.
Isn't what I'm getting at obvious to you?
Oh, Chris, honey. Very few things have ever been obvious to me.
I want to know if you want to marry me.
Of course I do.
Why didn't you ever ask me?
Well, because I can't afford a ring. I thought you had to have a ring to make the proposal official.
I guess not, since I'm pretty sure I just proposed to you. But, you know, we could seal the deal right out there in that darkened corner by the water cooler.
I like the way you think.
Chris goes behind the desk to get the bag with the gun.
After we're done, I will drop this off at the police station.
I'll go with you.
No, you don't need to do that. You live in the opposite direction.
I know, but I still have to give that burglar 75 cents change.
You know something, Tommy? I like the way you think.
Chris grabs Tommy's hand and they rush out to the hallway. After a couple of moments, Bill says from off stage,
"Oh my God, put some clothes on!"
Bill enters from the hallway with flowers.
I've got to admit, I did not see that coming.
Bill continues looking off stage, hoping to see more, and does not see Rebecca entering from the medical area, being wheeled by Dr. Cohen and holding the baby.
Oh, Bill, there's a little boy here who wants to meet you.
A son? We have a son? Oh my God, here! Here!
Bill hands cigars to Dr. Cohen and Rebecca.
Oh, thanks. I wanted to get him started early on that secondhand smoke.
Honey, I'm sorry about not being there for the delivery. You see what happened?
I know what happened. Dr. Cohen filled me in on everything. About you and about Mr. Bloom. She even told me she's got a little crush.
Well, Mrs. Radner.
Dr. Cohen and Eugene sitting in a tree.
All right, enough. How are you two both so successful?
Bill has pictures on most of Hollywood.
Watch your stepper, you could be next.
Oh, well, somehow I don't think TMZ is interested in pictures of me binge-watching Law & Order reruns. All right, Mrs. Radner, I think you should go and get some rest in your room.
Okay, Doc. I thought you were heading home.
Well, I am, but I need to take care of my patients first, and you are one of my patients.
Now that the game is over, do you think Dr. Cornblatt will deign to grace us with his presence?
He should be here soon, but there's nothing left for him to do. Your wife is doing fine, and the baby scored a perfect 10 on the APGAR.
An overachiever. See, Bill, I told you were the father.
Oh, he's definitely the father.
How do you know?
The baby came out holding a cigar in his hand and said, "Let's do lunch."
That's my boy. Thank you for everything, Dr. Cohen.
You're welcome, Mr. Goldstein.
I'd also like to apologize. You know, for what I said before, you're not really hideously grotesque.
Thank you.
And you really don't actually look like the Hound of Hell.
I get it, Mr. Goldstein.
And I was wrong to...
Sadie strikes a karate pose and Bill shrinks back behind Rebecca.
Well, I suppose we're going to go home now. You're going to go home now and run 10 miles before breakfast.
Mr. Goldstein, it's going to be all I can do to drag my sorry butt home and plop it into a hot bath.
Oh, Dr. Cohen, I hope things work out between you and Eugene. I know I only met him tonight, but he seems like a good man.
I hope you're right. I think he's a good man, too. Well, good night, you two. And congratulations, your baby is absolutely adorable.
Dr. Cohen exits to the medical area.
You know, she was pretty good. I hope things work out with her and the Bloom kid.
That Bloom kid is older than I am, and about 15 years older than Dr. Cohen.
Yeah, but her first name is Sadie, so that automatically adds 20 years to her. Put a set of mahjong tiles in front of her and she could be his mother.
I'm just saying it'll never work. With that age difference, he'll never be able to trust her.
Touche. Look, I'm sorry. I know I'm the father, and I know it's because there's nobody else it could be. I do trust you. It's the rest of Hollywood I don't trust. But how can you blame me? I know they're thinking it. You're so beautiful.
I'm not beautiful right now.
You've never been more beautiful than right now.
Well, now I know you really love me. So what about a name? I know we talked about Philip for a boy after your dad, but what about a middle name?
What do you think about George? I figured that from my father he'll get plenty of self-confidence.
Arrogance.
Plenty of self-confidence.
Arrogance.
Will you settle for self-confidence and arrogance?
Deal.
Having some humility from George might help him balance him out.
So it's settled. Honey, your name is going to be Philip George Goldstein.
And in Israel, Pinchas Gershon.
How do you say Goldstein in Hebrew?
I don't know. Maybe Goldstein?
I love you, Pinchas Gershon Goldstein.
Let me take you back to the room so you can call your folks and get some rest. Oh, you know, honey, while you were in delivery, I had an idea for a new movie.
You mean while you were passed out?
I do my best thinking when I'm unconscious.
Tell me about it.
I'm going to call it The Waiting Room. A bunch of people, most of whom don't know each other, are thrown together in a hospital waiting room. Hilarity ensues. Maybe some of the characters learn something about themselves. What do you think?
I love it. But that idea is too good to waste on the movies. Save it for the stage, babe. Save it for the stage.
Bill wheels Rebecca out to the medical area. The stage empty, the lights fade. Oh, Michael, we need direction. Where are they? There he is.
The script's over.
There are no words to say. What are we doing here?
Yes.
Okay, Paul Michael, are you facilitating things with the mic? Maybe.
I am.
Eventually.
I am.
Okay. And then Paul will show up eventually. I think he got lost in the parking lot.
Paul's coming around.
I gotta do this. About 5 minutes in, I dropped my bottle cap.
Oh,
It's just been here. Yeah, just roll. Well, anyway, wow.
All right.
Okay, take my spot. I'll be ready. All right. So this is a talkback session. So what we would love to hear is any comments. Actually, are we going to get house lights maybe? Just a little so we can see
You're gonna get the house
who's
lights
yelling at
back,
us
please.
for doing bad narration and whatnot. But let's start out. Anyone have any? Oh, there we go. Thank you so much. Any opening comments? Anyone have any first things they want to start off with?
I loved it.
Loved it. There we go. Done. Let's go home. Anyone have any favorite characters? Anything jumped out? Any characters you specifically related to? You can do hands. You can yell out.
Tommy.
Tommy. Yeah. What's that? Florence. There we go.
Like the Jewish mother.
Oh my! I'm standing right in front of you. I feel so bad. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? How do you guys feel about maybe Chris and Tommy's relationship? Sad. Sad. Can you elaborate? It's what, sorry?
It's almost a non-starter.
Almost a non-starter. I can see there's a lot of frustration, though we do get a little bit of redemption at the end. I think Tommy finally comes around. That's good, is it? Yeah, because we don't want to bring things down too much, maybe, so it's good to hear, good to have some balance. Any other critiques, any other thoughts? How do you think, oh, yes, please.
I would have liked a little more, and I can't say that I know exactly what it is that I would have wanted, but in the first act especially, I call it a hook. Something that grabs you and really, like, oh, what's going to happen next? Whether it's all the lines are so funny that you can't wait until you hear the rest of the dialogue because it's that funny, or the stranger entered earlier and you're thinking, wait a minute, who was that guy? You know,
Maybe a little more time to gestate on that.
well, just, it doesn't have to be that. Something that pulled it along a little bit, gave you some sort of, so that you became invested more in the action or the lie, somehow, but no conflict, it was, the lines were good, but it was just lines rather than...
Something more to pull it along.
If I may, I actually received very similar feedback at our final dress rehearsal, and I already am planning in the next draft to make sure there's a little more realization of what he is. Someone perhaps, like the doctor perhaps, who would express concern that there was this strange man, because he does reference him, but there is no reason for it to mean anything at that point. And I'm absolutely planning to try to work on that, and thank you very much.
I know for me, there's one bit that goes on that I've always found hilarious, but I think it loses it in the stage reading a little bit, when Tommy starts massaging Rebecca's foot. I think it's lost a little bit. I think it would be a very good visual gag. Is there anything else that maybe you feel could be punched up a little more, maybe didn't happen tonight, please?
So on the part where they're going back and forth about there aren't enough Jews in Hollywood, I felt like it was a really good joke, but then when they went back and had her start explaining what the joke was, I felt like that was kind of a little bit too much, because it's like, a joke is never funny after you have to explain it. The joke never really need to explain it, so it just felt a little awkward to me.
Good to hear. We actually cut back some of that too. Just we're right in the same ballpark. Vicki had her hand up first, please.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of good material. You need to be brutal and cut some of it out.
Yep.
It's just, you explain, like Owen said, you explain a lot, and I think you need a little, and I know, I'm a writer, and it's hard to cut out the stuff you love, but you have to do it anyway.
You'd be amazed how much was already cut through this process. You'd have loved the original script.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Because it really moved the action along, but I really like it,
Sir in the blue shirt.
Yeah, so a couple of things for, I'll use the word accuracy. So slow shame for a parent is not 30 days, it's 11 months. When you refer, if you're going to be used at accuracy. So the other thing is, and I know Paul, because he told me in advance something, that the person we don't meet had neurofibromatosis. And as a person with neurofibromatosis, Paul, I think you and I need to talk about that in terms of what the disease represents for the family members of the children and the possible complications from the disease or surgery. And I'm thinking you might want to have a different disease.
Okay.
And we can talk about it. I mean, I'm just saying this because I have the disorder myself. And it's a one thing that is mentioned in the beginning, never mentioned again. But I was aware of it because I was told to look out for it. And if you would want to get the neurofibromatosis community to be people who would come to see this play, either we could make more of the NF, which is the short name for it, to make it a little bit more part of the play,
But either build it up so it's a draw, or just make sure we smooth it out. Yeah, exactly. Because there's nothing like something wrong that will pull you out of play.
I don't want to be critical to my good buddy Paul.
That's what we're here for.
That's right.
Oh, go ahead. I'm being very serious here. Because when we talk about neurofibromatosis, for myself, it's impacted my life very deeply, okay, with family and stuff. So I want Paul to be more aware. I didn't know what was going to happen when he said that early last week to me, Arnie. By the way, Arnie, okay, before, so you're not surprised. And I think it would make a huge difference in the play, and because this was a comedy that ended in a tragedy that turned into a slight love story, sense of love story. So there's this whole gamut of stuff. And if you're gonna do that, I know I'm talking.
We're going to have something specific, right? It could be like generic, whatever, or either build it up or maybe smooth it out. Thank you so much.
Change the disease.
Change the disease,
Yeah,
right?
certainly.
So I thought the dialogue was wonderful. But again, I'm a little confused because to me, a play is either a tragedy that ends with a funeral, or it's a comedy that ends with a wedding, with people in love. And to me, it was a comedy that I enjoyed quite a bit. I enjoyed the dialogue and everything like that. And then when her husband died, I was like thrown. And then you went back to being a comedy. So I'm wondering if I love the transition of the characters and everybody's changed, but I'm not sure if you need the death to do that, because at least for me, that was it completely threw me.
It was almost too, like emotionally too much of a dip
and then
suddenly.
we're back to Hammy Flanagan.
Good to
For
hear.
me personally, that's a little weird.
Thank you so much.
Although that's the nature of waiting. Actually, there are lots of different stories going on at the same time in the hospital. When you ride up in the elevator, there are people who are going up to visit, someone for a newborn baby. You can tell they're holding balloons, and then there are people huddled in a corner going to visit a loved one who's dying in the intensive care unit. So there's a lot of different stories going on. Paul, I think you did a very fine job. I liked actually the relationship between Chris and Tommy. Maybe other people didn't take it this way, but I sort of like the difficulty inherent in the relationship because of sort of his economic uncertainty about his situation in life. And I think that's actually a fairly common theme in our society that is underappreciated. I don't know whether you intended that or not, but at the end, there's been all this sort of jest like he's a moron about the relationship, but in reality, he hasn't been. He just doesn't feel sort of economically secure enough. He can't afford the ring, but I put that as a sort of a financial insecurity metaphor. So he really can't afford the relationship, and he's a little bit playing dumb. I mean, he is a bit of an oafish character, but it's okay.
It's not that much of a stretch, but...
I also wanted to say just about the other comments. I thought that the Goldstein joke should have been explained, unless you're only going to have an audience of Jewish people. Because it's a Jewish joke. It reminds me of some jokes that you read, like Howard Jacobson's novels has some wonderful jokes. And there's one of them, but I basically can only tell the joke to Jewish people, because otherwise I'd have to explain to them what's coming, and it doesn't work. But if you tell the Jewish people who sort of see who get it, it's a hysterical joke. But only for people who sort of understand. There are certain things that have to be built in, that have to be understood. And if you're going to tell a joke like that to a mixed, as it were, audience, the rest of the people won't get it.
Might lose some.
It would not lose something, it would lose everything. It did.
Oh no, lose some of the people, I mean.
Yes, because they wouldn't understand.
Excellent, thank you. One of the smalls, you guys choose.
I just want to,
One small only.
Well, we'll go with you first.
No, I just want to put in that it is a waiting room, it is in a hospital, and I think the death was an important part of it, and I think what I liked about it was that emotional roller coaster in the midst of a comedy. When I think about screenplays and comedies in movies, that there are events like that. It's not all comedy. There can be a poignancy and meaning to something that happens in the course of that comedy that has meaning and importance.
Well, as you said, I'd like to name a couple movies, but I don't want to ruin the movies for everyone else. Right back there. Right in front of you. Okay, Julie, real quick. Yes. Julie. Yes.
Julie.
So anyway, on something else, I was lost in the show, so and me to not have my head going in another direction, please, you did a great job. I really enjoyed it. What I was thinking though is a lot of, because I am Jewish, a lot of the Jewish themes, I was thinking if this was about people of Chinese descent, and I was watching this Jewish person, would I understand what was going on in the same way that I understood it, having the same cultural background? And I'm not sure that I would. That doesn't mean that it would play well to people like me, because it does. But if it's intended for a wider audience, I think some of it might get lost.
You're worried about losing the going?
Yeah.
I got like 10 words. I know. Okay, we'll start with Steve, and he can pass it on either side.
Three quick points for me. I have no idea what Chris sees in Tommy.
I think it's time.
Aaron? Second, I have no idea why Bill thinks it's not his baby. And third, why is the pregnant woman stuck in the waiting room, in labor? Next.
I was gonna say the same thing. I loved the lines. I thought they were clever, I thought they were funny, and I thought there were too many of them. The thing that was missing for me in the first act was a sense of conflict, real conflict, between any of the characters or the situation that would make me want to see how it was resolved. I agree, Chris seemed smart and Tommy seemed stupid, and that was the thing, and it's played out in sitcoms all the time, and you go, why is this woman with this guy? It wasn't his heart, he treated her well, that was all fine, but you couldn't tell why they got together and why she was pushing for a further relationship when she was clearly out of his league as it stands.
She could do that.
She could do that. You know, I wanted to see maybe more tension between the mother and son, or some real fear about what the father was going through. I didn't relate to the disease at all. I thought when she came out and said it had spread that it was cancer. So, more details. But anyway,
Okay,
conflict was the main point of what I was.
No, thank you.
Yes, finish off with.
So, put on my English major hat, the thing with the gun was, I felt could have been handled a lot more, like, climactically, kind of, you know, so Andrew's got the gun, he's gesturing with it, and then they take it away from him and it never goes off, and I think that there's expectation if you have a gun on stage that it's going to go off. Now, I know that you're defying the trope there, but there's so much more you still could have done with it. She's asking for a weapon, there's a gun right there, nobody picks it up. Dan's touching it all over the place, and like, now his fingerprints are on this gun that she's gonna take to the police, what's happening with the gun? And everyone's forgotten about it, so there's just a bunch more stakes that can go into that, you know? She's like, I'm gonna kill you with nail scissors, and like, that's literally
It could be Chris handing your bag and she pulls it out of the bag
right,
instead of something
it's
else.
already in her purse, but she's looking for nail scissors, and then I'm like, oh my God, got it there.
First half, like the second half. The transition, there wasn't enough of it was not a smooth transition. So I was expecting, all right, is this a comedy? And then we get to the second, what is going on here? So I found it just really uneven to the point where it was disturbing.
So I could relate to all the characters on some level. You've seen these people in real life, or you've seen them in other settings somehow, except for Dr. Cohen was too far from any professional position.
Is she too slick?
I mean, she kind of, her opening lines were, you know, attacking potential patients, you know, idiots who were, you know, I mean, she was just a little too far unprofessional for me. And then she kept leaving for the same reason, to check on surgery, as opposed to, you know, other things. I mean, she probably had plenty more to do as a chief president. And then with the actress, I think I would have liked her to be a little bit more of a diva or something, kind of she wasn't enough of
Hollywood star.
Right. I mean, she wasn't pregnant enough. She wasn't.
We told her to get pregnant, but she only joined the cast 2 weeks before the show.
Anyway, I'd like to see her maybe a bit more of a glitzy actress.
Good to hear, thank you.
I really enjoyed the show a lot. I do think that there are some parts that you can trim some fat. But what annoyed me is...
It was me, right?
Well, obviously Kevin, but...
Besides you, Kevin.
What annoyed me was that the relationship between Chris and Tommy was stagnant because he was making it stagnant, but also I felt like the fact that she just kept on doing the eye roll thing, and kind of like under her breath, saying that she was uncomfortable. Everyone else around them understood it. Tommy was just a dunce. But also, I feel like the stakes needed to be raised by the actor playing, not you, certainly, but like the character. She needed to raise the stakes. She needed to threaten to leave, threaten to break up, sooner than she did. So what it means is that Tommy was then villainized and she was victimized. And I didn't like that dichotomy in the context of a comedy. But also, I am a huge fan of muddying the waters between comedy and tragedy. I love it when you throw one into the other and to explore one within the world of another. And I totally agree that in a waiting room you have every walk of life and every stage of life in there. But I really wanted Mrs. Bloom to have her moment as someone who's been in that situation, not my husband, but my father. I wanted her to have that moment of complete just desperation, I'm done. I need a moment to grieve, I need to be with my son. But instead she made it a teaching moment for her son. And I don't think that would, not only would it not happen, but also I know that you're not trying to muddy the waters too much because it is a comedy, and I like that, but it left me wanting more for her.
Do you feel if this was staged instead of just a reading, that we might have been able to, or even Michael, it could go to you, that there might have been more of a chance for at least a pause there, as everyone slowly realized, no, you don't think it's too on top of itself?
I think it was, I don't think that any amount of blocking would have
It's not written into the script that way, and that would be a recommendation. I would think that her moment needs to be written in the script. But are there other? We're running into some time. Are there other questions that Paul specifically would like answered to help with the show? He had given you some about.
Others, and Kevin's been touching on them.
If he's got them
subtle, just because it's you.
And thank you. So I could really relate to this situation. I was just in an emergency waiting room with my elderly mother for 5.5 hours. So I could identify with the mother and son relationship. I thought it was beautifully done. The only thing that I was really caught up in the second act, I got very emotional. What I didn't see was I wanted to see more of the relationship of the two people who were going to go on the date. I didn't see it. I wanted to see more. It was like the very end, I wanted to see more of a buildup of some type of flirting that was going on. I didn't see it. I could see that he was sort of attracted to her, but yes, she's a doctor, but if she's attracted to him, let me see it. Let me see the buildup of where they're going to finally go on a date. I didn't see that. I wanted to see more of that relationship a little bit more.
So if I can say, so that would probably most likely come out in a stage show, because there would be more physical flirting. She'd be moving towards him. He would stand and be more uncomfortable around her. There'd be eye movement back and forth between them. So I think you would start to see that it would build as the show went on. But because of the setup that we were using with minimal blocking, we did try with a lot more blocking, and the show already ran long, and we were trying to cut the time down. So we said, let's cut most of the blocking out and have just some of the characters who enter and exit frequently do that. So I think that would come through. I believe it would with a heavier staged production.
How long were the Blooms married? How old is she supposed to be?
Supposed to be about 80.
Okay, so my mom's 83, and I would have think she would have been asking more of how is my husband. It was almost like, I love what you did, Barbara, but I wanted to see more, how is he? How is he doing?
Yeah. Of course, they've been here repeatedly,
year and a half.
And he always comes out. But so I think in that sense it's...
But if she was, I'm gonna go with the Jewish route, I think she would have been asking more. I think she would have been asking more, and how she was too complacent. You would have been there.
You lost two, or just cut it?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I would say sorry to cut it, but it is getting to be 9:30, and I know some people have places to go, and we have a reception waiting for us in the back there.
So by all means, find this guy.
Paul will certainly be here. One question that I would like to ask, maybe by just a show of hands, so we don't need a lot of comments. If the Footlighters were to put on other productions similar to this, where it's not a full show, but it is a staged reading to give performers a chance to perform who haven't been on the stage before, it's my first time directing a show, would audience members come back to the show? We expected 30 people tonight. We got much more than 30. We have over 100 people. Of those people, knowing what it is, a limited costume, limited blocking, etc., how many of you would come back to a show like this if it was again offered similar format, a free format? Okay. Excellent. That is fantastic. That is fantastic. So I would like to once again, I would like to thank this amazing cast. I would like to thank Paul Marsh for writing and giving us Linda Berman, she was the producer for the show. She did absolutely everything. She's fantastic. She's backstage. There's not like it. And Dan Sheehan, who would run back and forth to his house in Maine, come back, and he was running the lights and the sound for this evening. So we are going to have our small cast party, and we would like to invite all of you to join us. There is some food and alcohol out there. We're going to try and do the Jesus thing. We'll divide it from a little bit to a lot. So if you want to head out to the lobby, Paul, if you're going to be around to take questions or comments, I think we can do it out there. Thank you, everyone. People are here.
I know it, yeah. Check with Linda. You may want to find